Hi there, I'm Chitufadungs and this is Anamorphic on a Budget video reviews. A few episodes ago I talked about the small Century Optex anamorphic adapter, and this time I'll be talking about its bigger brother, the Century Optex WS-13. First of all, explaining the name, WS stands for widescreen, 13 stands for the stretch factor, 1.33, and the two final digits of the name, SD or 58, indicate its mount. In my case it's 58, SD stands for Sony bayonet, whatever, something. But it's a bayonet mount. As previously explained, you can modify this bayonet to accommodate regular filter threads. Just double check because the rear element is much bigger than the other, so try maybe a 67 or a 58 ring. This lens is one of a kind. The only reason the Panasonic LA7200 gets all the credit for being the best DV adapter out there is because these Centuries are hard to find. I wouldn't think twice between the penny and this guy here. While the Panasonic Optex and such are partial zoom adapters, they have fixed focus, this one is the only full zoom, which means it has a focus ring and it is compatible with any focal length. It's important to clarify that even though you focus both the taking lens and the adapter, using this lens isn't hard at all, especially when compared with a regular double focus system. Think of it as a predecessor of the near position of the SLR Magic Anamorphic. In its core, this is a focus through adapter, since most of the focusing is done on the taking lens. And I'd say you can fine-tune your focus with this with the focus of using the Century. For example, if you're doing a rack focus, you set the Century somewhere in between your initial and your final focus marks and do all the rack focus on the taking lens. Bokeh has a very subtle stretch at 1.33 because the rear element is round instead of square. This actually gives you a little, very tiny oval. Well, the Panasonic's also square, so that's another advantage of this guy. This adapter has a metal body, making it heavier than the Panasonic at 400 grams. In mine, the rear threads are 58 millimeters, but my previous one had a bayonet mount, which I modified to 67 millimeter threads. No sweat, just follow the tutorial. The front has no threads. There is an original clamp matte box light that holds 4.5 inch filters. But don't put too much faith on it because it's even harder to find than the adapter itself. Diopters aren't that necessary because it focuses from just below 5 feet to infinity. Well, 1.5 meters, it's workable. Like all other DV adapters, the alignment is set by this tiny screw here. Just loosen it and tighten it. Be careful not to lose it. Well, I kind of spoiled the answer for price and availability, because it's extremely hard to come across this guy. It's so hard that I don't even define a price range. I've seen them going for 600 bucks and I've seen them going for 1600 bucks. So just for sanity reasons, if you see one going for less than $1,000, get it. Even if you're gonna sell it later for profit. 1,000 bucks for this is good. In terms of resolution, it beats the crap out of the smaller Century and it pairs up at the top with the Panasonic LA7200. Edges are very messed up, even more than the smaller Century, but I kinda like the way it behaves. Also, it doesn't perform as good at minimum focus. As opposed to its fixed focus brothers, this adapter doesn't care if you're using a longer taking lens, such as an 85 or a 135 millimeters. You can also download the original full resolution samples from my blog. The Century Optex WS13 has some pretty epic flares. They are blue, they're very saturated, and they add a very cinematic feel to the image. Very sci-fi. I could look at them for hours. There are some better ones at the World Test, check them out. Being bigger also allows it to go wider than the smaller Century, being the second widest anamorphic adapter out there, just losing to the Panasonic for a very tiny few millimeters. Here's the Century at 37 millimeters, totally clear image, and here's at 28 with something adding on the corners, but still not full-on black edges. When I was shooting this test with my sister, I didn't worry about any technicalities of handling the lens. Aligning it is very easy, focusing is fast, and image quality holds up pretty nicely. The moment the flares start showing up, I'm sold. I could shoot anything on this. The image doesn't have much distortion to it, except for the taking lenses, and stretching it straight to 2.36 to 1, even for the in-camera preview, already conveys a cinematic feel to it. I believe its clean and futuristic aspects blend pretty well with the randomness of the Russian taking lenses. If I had to shoot anamorphic and don't worry about any technical aspects of it, I would be between this adapter and the Iskurama. That shows how simple it is to handle it and how well it can perform. Please don't hate me. So we get to the end of another review. I've passed the halfway mark reviewing my lenses, so soon I'll be running out of gear to talk about. I'll figure something out in the meanwhile. If you have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to contact me through Facebook or email, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and check out my blog for the full anamorphic on a budget guide. See you guys.